In this section, we will talk about 5 structural elements of the multiple streams framework. The starting point of this framework, like MSF, is the notion of stream independence. These independent streams, which are the 5 ones that we will talk about, need to come together at some point. And according to MSF, the problem and the solution have to be coupled together by a political entrepreneur and presented to the policy maker. And this is like the main goal of this framework. Here is the first structural element for MSF, which is the problem stream. According to MSF, problems are conditions that deviate from policymakers or citizens' ideal states and are seen as public because government action is needed to resolve those problems. So because people are different and they're very pretty much, so they can see like previous acceptable condition as a problem at some point when it is changed to the worse. So here as well we will talk about the feedback about existing programs may direct attention to certain condition. It's impossible to the policymaker or the politicians to pay attention to all the problems in the society. So the problem has to have this political relevance to get attention. Finally, problem brokers are actors who frame conditions as public problems and work to make the policymakers accept those frames. So we have this problem brokers and the policy entrepreneurs, and they're different a little bit between each other because policy entrepreneurs, they suggest solutions which is not done by the problem brokers. The second element here is a policy stream. Like policy alternatives are generated in policy communities. A policy community is mainly a loose connection of civil servant, interest groups, academics, and researchers who engage in finding alternatives to the policy problems of a specific policy field. According to Kingdon, 2011, various ideas float around in a policy prime val soup, or what he called this. This is what he called during a process called softening up, where members of the policy argue and discuss until viable policy alternatives emerge. Only these alternatives will receive serious consideration. During this process, we have 4 categories of ideas emerge. The first one is going to be quantum, rapid propulsion of new ideas. Emergent, the second one, it's like a gradual gestation of new ideas. And we have the third one, convergent, rapid gestation of old ideas, and gradualist, slow gestation of marginal extensions of existing policies. Kingdon discussed various criteria of ideas survival during the primeval soup, such as technical visibility and the value acceptability and financial viability. Finally, the policy stream can be defined as ready for coupling when at least one viable policy alternative exists that meets survival criteria. We have the third structural element of the MSF, which is a political stream. Political stream is located at the level of policy subsystem and the level of political system. We're talking about 3 elements of this political stream. First, the national mode. The national mode is most empirically elusive of these elements. So this makes some scholars or many scholars talking about putting this element away because it's too hard to achieve. It refers to the notion that a fairly large number of individuals in a given country tend to think along standard lines, and that the mood swings from time to time. Kingdon also suggests that the government officials sense changes in this mode and act to promote certain items on the agenda according to the national mood. National mood is characterized by a strong element of perception on the part of policy makers. We have the second part of this process, not a process like the item of political stream, which is interest groups campaigns. They are quite evidently, and the more interest group are opposed to an idea, and the more powerful those interest group are, the less likely that this idea will make it to the agenda. This is like an example for this part. So thirdly, we have governments and legislator changes in their composition constitute the third element of the political stream. For example, we'll talk about here if some ministers might be like more open-minded to have some policy proposals or ideas, much better will with one party's ideology than with another one. Like if those ministers like from one party, so it's gonna be easier to them to consider like some proposals or ideas. Here we have like the fourth structural element MSF, which is the agenda or the policy window. Even if the past three streams are ready for coupling, agenda change may not come out automatically. So because they have some other elements have to be there, like coupling the streams, and the agenda change becomes much more likely at specific points in time, which Kingdon called the policy windows, and all the process depends on those windows. So all the other elements watch these windows and just like they're waiting for it. Policy window is defined as a fleeting opportunity for advocates of proposals to push their pet solutions or to push attentions to their special problems at this time. Here is the fifth structural element of MSF, which is the policy entrepreneur, and it's a very important element. Policy entrepreneurs are advocates who are willing to invest their resources, time, energy, reputation, and money to promote a position in return for anticipated future gain, and the form of material or purposive or solitary benefits. They have to be very skilled. They have to be ready to engage with the agenda windows once they are open. Also, they have to promote their solutions or their proposals, and to be ready to just give it to the policymakers. So the more successful entrepreneurs are those who have greater access to the policymakers. We have to differentiate between the agenda setting and the decision making to understand how the MSF needs to be adapted to decision making. During the agenda setting, many actors compete for attention to various proposals. However, the number of actors tend to decrease during the decision-making process. At the same time, the relevance of the institutional setting increases as we move from the agenda setting to the decision-making. Here we have this figure in our book to distinguish between two windows and consequently two coupling processes. one for the agenda setting with all its elements called like agenda window, and the other one for decision making, and it's called decision window. It's clear that the political stream dominates during the decision coupling, and the importance of the other two streams is reduced during the agenda setting stage. Here we have three tools to help the political entrepreneur to do their jobs. The first one is called package deals, which is like more than one policy proposal can be coupled to any given problem. So political entrepreneurs here can just combine 2 or 3 proposals with each other to achieve their job. Second one, concessions. It might be necessary to make some concessions to achieve the purpose of the proposals. Third one, it's the manipulation. Political entrepreneurs could try to manipulate the policymakers. For example, they can pressure the policymakers if they succeed in presenting the problem as a threat to policymakers' re-elections. This is gonna be the last part in this section, which is the implementation. MSF has not been widely used in the implementation research because ambiguity raises the specter of purposeless laws and symbolic practices that can be very expensive and conflict prone. The few implementation studies that they used MSF seriously agree on the importance of the political entrepreneurs in the whole process. Like, they are very important to engage the ideas and the proposals and just introduce them to the policymakers.